Good morning, and we're heading over to Brinkley right now, getting in the truck. It's about 6:30 a.m. We're gonna head over there to pick up the Brinkley, see how service went. A little nervous, you know, that's just the way it is. We'll see how it goes, if everything's good. All right, let's go find out. Pick up our RV. It could be this one, or it could be this one over here. I see a couple of 3610s, all with the gray Gen gooseneck on them. They all look the same, so not sure which one's mine, which one's not. So I'm gonna walk on in here to the offices and find the claims person and see if we can find our RV. Wrong. I thought maybe ours was the one over here, or maybe ours was the one gonna make everybody dizzy over here, but actually ours was the one right here. Through went great. Did a lot of stuff. I'll go over it once we get to the campground. But look, they gave me some new pads. Well, this has been a long day, and I probably look a little rough. I'm a little rough, but well, I guess I should just talk you through it. So we picked up the RV today over at Brinkley Service, and I'll say it went pretty easy. We pulled in, we went, found the office. That actually took the longest, and met their staff there, great staff. They walked us through the Brinkley. Everything looked really good. There was one item on my list that they had forgotten about, which was I had a staple showing in the roof. So they came up with a great solution for that I thought was great. They added another attic vent where the staple was, so they could cut it out and get to it without having to place the whole roof. Gives you another attic vent. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a perfect location. It's lined up with the other one. So I said, yeah, let's do that. It took them about 5 minutes. Turned out it wasn't a staple. It was just a little high spot there, a little debris. So it wasn't anything to worry about, but got it fixed, hooked up, and left there and came here to my new spot, our great spot. Here at Happy Acres Campground. I'm all confused today. Happy Acres Campground. But that didn't go smooth either, because coming in here, it was a little narrow. I got a little too close to someone. We had to take a sign down so I could come through. And then I drove up this path here, and unfortunately got a little bit into the grass, and that was still not too bad. But when we went to go back in here, the way I was planning on doing it, if you'll kind of look here, the way I was planning on doing it was to pull up there and then come around here. This right here was all grass this morning. And come around here. But I was gonna have to cut into here a little bit, and it sunk in. The ground was just a little soft, and I had to cut in here. It went too deep, went up to the jacks, and then so I cut in a little bit better. It looked like it was gonna work, and then it hit the jacks on here. So these jacks are just too low. You need to put them up. But even the back of the RV hit here. So what happened is it had been really wet here, and even though it was firm everywhere else, right here it just wasn't. And my wheel sunk in so much it made the whole camper lean. Did the same thing when I was trying to get past the sign. That's why we had to take the sign down. Lean over. It actually went all the way down to my jacks and even my bumper. So I was like, okay, we don't want to ruin the RV. We don't hurt the RV. So I pulled out, and I had torn everything up in here. Kevin and some of the staff here at Happy Acres came out, and they got a dump truck and they got a tractor, and we just filled this in with gravel. Just right here, so that I could get on back in here, and just made the driveway a little wider, and it worked right out, and worked like a charm. We got in here, still a tight spot, really tight spot. But man, who else would do that for you? Who? Now, I'm not saying you're gonna come out here and they're gonna widen all the driveways for you. But in this case, it needed to be done. They had been talking about it anyway. And since I was trying to get this great big rig in here, they got it done right then, right on the spot. I think that's one of the reasons this place looks so great. They don't just like wait around and projects, sit around and wait. They just go do it. But anyway, enough of that. I'm in our spot. We're happy. My son and I are getting in here. I can't wait to take a shower. I'll hook up the sewer, hook up the water. Everything's going pretty good. Run to our first snag. Hot water won't work. I go look at it, so I go, oh, I forgot to turn it on, because I turned off the hot water heater. There's a little switch. before I turned it in because I had winterized it. So you don't want it on when you're winterizing because you don't want it to be heating up the winterizer. I don't know if it does anything or not, but you don't want to. So I went over, I flipped it on, still nothing. Maybe it just blew a fuse. I went in and sure enough, the fuse was blown, 15 amp fuse. I sent my son to go get one. They didn't have any at the store, but I happened to have one in a toolbox in the back of my truck. It's one of the things I say you should always carry. So I dug it out, I put the new fuse in. New fuse, it's gonna work now. Still doesn't work. So I called Brinkley Service, once again, friendly as they can be. Great group. And they're like, we'll put you in first thing in the morning, get it fixed. We'll put you in first thing in the morning, get it fixed. But you saw what I did just to get here, right? So I was like, okay, if I have to do that, that's what I'm gonna have to do. So I haven't had a shower yet. I'm gonna go use the facility showers here. They're really nice here. I mean, super nice. But I was just looking forward to having my own. So we'll go do that tonight. And if I have to tomorrow morning, I'm gonna pack up and head back over to Brinkley Service and let them fix that. But Patrick, travels with Delaney's Patrick, his friend Myron, who is, if you've watched his videos, he comes out here all the time to fix stuff. He's coming out here to work on someone else's trailer tonight anyway. So we're gonna see if we can swing by here and maybe troubleshoot this one. Now, I figure it's one or two things. They had to take that hot water heater out to replace that whole sidewall. And when they did that, maybe they didn't get hooked back up coming in, or they hooked it wrong or something. Maybe that's why I blew a fuse and now it won't work, who knows. Or I also had the electrical recall done. Now I don't know if any of those new fuses they inserted go to the hot water heater. I know they're 12 volt fuses, so it's possible. If it did, maybe one of those is bad or not working. I just don't know. So, and I don't have all my multimeter and stuff with me. It's funny, I left it because I was like, we're just going to a seasonal site. We're not gonna be on the road traveling. I don't need to take all those tools with me this trip. We'll get set up and I'll bring them next trip. Mistake. All right, so that's good. But let me walk you around anyway. So anyway, if Myron gets out here tonight and can fix it, then great. I won't go in tomorrow morning. It'll be worth it to me. But if not, I really can't miss any more work. But I'll have to pack up and get over there. And it's just the way it'll have to be. I'm not really looking forward to it. Ready to be settled in for a little bit. But, after being in the cabins, we're finally in the RV, and I just want to be in it. But that's what we'll do. It's what we have to do. So that's part of it. If you're gonna RV, you just have to be flexible and okay with it. But let me tell you some stuff they did here, okay? All right, first I picked it up, and one of the things I had here was this little broken thing. They fixed it, but they had to pull this whole cap off because even though I didn't go in for a wall crack, they examined it and found a wall crack. And a lot of people are like, oh, the wall crack is a horrible thing. Unfortunately, they're having wall cracks. There's been some of them. But the fact that they're looking for them and fixing them. They've opened service centers in other places and trained people to do it, to get these wall cracks fixed. Now, these wall cracks are not frame flags. They're not that at all. They're fairly cosmetic. But what it is they made them so solid, trying to make them just the most solid of any RV ever built, and probably too rigid. You need some give somewhere or something's gonna break. And so everything was just so tight and so tight fitting and so solid that these corners where the slides are the weak point, and you would get these little cracks. And so they fixed it. The way they did this one is they took off this whole, they had to take the slides out, and they took off this whole side panel all the way down to my mid-bunk slide and replaced it, the whole thing. And so that was a ton of work. I've heard it takes up to 40 hours or 40 man hours to do just the sidewall project. A massive undertaking. And they did some more stuff. My review videos, you know that this screw was broken out here, and there was one up there. They got those changed out. There were also some screws missing on the other side that were just missing, and they got those put in. Inside, they did change out the lamp. Inside, they did change out the lamp, which was really great. Appreciate them doing that. They fixed the bunk door, so it goes in and out now. And I had broke a fascia board when I had my slide failure. They fixed that fascia board. They found another one they said was damaged in the other room. I didn't know that. They fixed it. They had a list of stuff. I had like 5 or 6 things on my list, all pretty minor stuff. They fixed all it, but they had a list twice that size that their own people went through everything in here and found everything they possibly could and fixed it, and it was great. And they gave me some extras I didn't even ask for. For example, they gave me these new steps. All right, you see these little step pads? Now they're a little dirty because I've been walking up and down them, but these little Brinkley pads, they looked so clean and pretty earlier today. I should have left them that way. The free gift, they gave them to me. They were installed when I picked up. They did a couple other things. They installed some fans and some vents that go under the bed that keep humidity from building up moisture under there. We haven't had a problem with that, but some people have, so they just went ahead and installed them. I need to figure out how to turn the fans off. They're a little bit noisy when you don't want them. I don't know if they work on the humidistat or what, and also I don't want them draining my 12-volt battery, so I'm going to see. I need to find out where the switch is for that. So find that out, and I'll flip that switch off when I don't want it, or maybe I'll have to install a switch. We'll see. I'm not 100% certain on that, but the fact they did it is really nice. They did a bunch of other stuff. There was a mirror that they replaced the door frame to our door, the inside, the facial part. They said that they thought it had some damage. I thought it was fine. They replaced it. They fixed the striker. 2 or 3 other things throughout the RV, just really made everything look good. They redid the seals around the slide from when I had to repair it. I didn't do it perfectly. They made sure it was done perfectly. And when they fixed the sidewall there, they add some tubular support inside to make sure we don't have any more stress that will cause those cracks. And they repacked that with some insulation. They did some other things. I mean, they just really did above and beyond, in my opinion. But nothing's ever perfect. You never, we'll get an RV back and go, oh, there's nothing here, there's nothing wrong. So we ran into the hot water heater issue. There's a little bit of tar under the slide. I can understand it because they're pulling that stuff off. And when I say tar, it's probably the turbine glue. I'll clean that off, but it's where most people would never even care. It's underneath the slide, but I care. So I'll clean that off. But they really cleaned out the RV. They really did a good job. Overall, pretty happy. I wish they could have sent somebody out here to fix the hot water heater so I don't have to go back in. But I mean, I think that's probably too much to ask. So, but I wish we would have known about the hot water heater. Another thing is they forgot to reconnect the struts under the bed. So when I went to look, it almost killed me. The struts do a lot, but they just snapped in. So it wasn't a big deal. Wasn't a big deal at all. I'll keep looking at it and see what else we have, but I'm going to tell you the friendliness and responsiveness, 10 out of 10. The attempt to go over the top and do stuff that you didn't even bring it in for, 10 out of 10. Execution, pretty good. I can't give it a 10 because we have the hot water heater issue, and I still need to resolve that before I get it. So I'm going to probably give that a 7. But to be honest, that's me being pretty picky. Of course, it is really frustrating to have something that works when you take it in and when you go pick it up from being in service for months. It has been in there for months, and pull it to your first place and that doesn't work. That's really frustrating. But with the amount of work they did, it's understandable. Still frustrating. Not entirely happy today about that, but we will see. So that's been the service so far. I guess I'll give a little bit more. I'm going to spend tonight looking around, making sure everything's good. There are a few other things that they fixed for us. One of the things they did, they replaced our microwave. I didn't know anything was wrong with the microwave, but they did it, that they had checked it and they thought that it was having issues, so they changed it. We had never experienced any issues, but they felt it needed to be changed, so they did. And, I give them credit for that. And there were some other little things like that. So, good job, Brinkley. You're doing a good job. Your service is definitely better. I got a friend who has an Alliance just down the road right here, and he has a soft spot that has formed that right in front by his island when they found it. And when they looked at it, they actually found that what had happened is that had been repaired at the factory. You can tell when you look at it. Actually, it's Myron, the guy, maybe coming over here to look at this. When you cut it out and look, or when you look at it, you can see a really good professional job on the linoleum. They had cut around the seams, peeled it up, and probably replaced a little piece of flooring there before it left the factory. And it's clearly gone bad now, no doubt about it. He called them, still under warranty, and said, hey, I've got this problem. And they just denied it without seeing it or anything. Go, we have no record of that. That's your problem. Denied. That's Alliance. all right? They've denied other stuff. He has some roof issues that don't look right. They're like, it's just normal, it's fine. Brinkley hasn't done that. Have they been perfect? No, I got a hot water heater not working. But they've listened to me with everything I've said. They haven't blown me off. They're concerned. I think they really care, and I think they're trying to get it 100% right. And I will tell you, the service people are today 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. So, you know, I think they are doing better. So if you're asking me if it was based on service, okay, and we've talked about rigs and everything else, everybody has different taste. My friend's rig is absolutely beautiful. But if you're going to base it on service, I'm going to say Brinkley. Brinkley over Grand Design, Brinkley over Alliance, Brinkley over Winnebago, Brinkley over Lance, Brinkley over the ones that I've had dealings with. Now, there may be some others out there that are even better. I don't know. But the ones I've dealt with, Brinkley's the best. Now, you pay extra for a Brinkley, and you would have to decide, is it worth that extra pay or not? You know, because they do cost a little more. But I think you get what you pay for. I think they're building a little better rig, and I think they're definitely providing a lot better service. Oh, one of the things I failed to mention was they also did a wiring recall that had happened a long time ago. So they did that wiring recall, and they did a really good job. I was really worried about it because, you know, I have altered that whole interior bay for my inverter build, and I was like, how are they going to do that with all this in the way? They did a nice job. They did good. Okay, a little bit of an update, and thanks for sticking through this long video, but a little bit of an update. Myron was able to come out and fix the hot water heater, and what it turned out is what I suspected. They had pulled the hot water heater out, and when they put it back in, they had actually mixed up the wires. Wire that's supposed to go from the motherboard to the thermostat, or vice versa, had 12 volt juice run through it, and that is what blew the fuse. But unfortunately, replace the fuse didn't help. I already knew that, because it also blew the motherboard. Just so happened Myron had a motherboard with him for this exact unit. So we pulled the motherboard out, put the other one on. Sure enough, that was the issue. We found the wires crossed, put them back, didn't work. Changed the motherboard, did work. Have hot water, that's great. Unfortunately, it's about a $400 plus bill when you include the motherboard and the labor it took. So I'm out of pocket that, but we got hot water and we didn't have to pull out of here. So grateful to have that, and I understand these things can happen. So it's not like I'm upset with Brinkley, though spending $400 for their mistake seems a little tough, but at the same time, they absolutely offered for me to bring it up there to get it fixed. So, you know, it is what it is. It was more of, it was so hard to get in here, and we were so ready to be here and have hot water that it was just a decision I made. Because it would have cost me time and money. I didn't have another day off work, etc., to go up there. So I just really had no other choice. So, we got it done. We're in here. It's great. We've had a chance to look around everything. Everything seems good. We haven't really moved much, but everything seems really good. Very happy. The fans that are installed in the bed, talk to Brinkley, no turn off switch. There's no way to turn those off. And that presents two problems. One, a little bit of noisy. Some people say theirs aren't noisy. The ones we have are noisy. And two, that means when we're not running anything, but we're running on our 12 volt, we're really pulling our power down. Not by a lot, those fans don't use a lot, but when we're out boondocking and stuff, sometimes I want to preserve as much power as possible. I want to have control over it at the very least. So I've got some switches I'm going to install. I'm going to get that done. I'm actually changing out our mattress. There'll be a video on that. And when I do, I'm putting in some switches. And I'm going to take the opportunity to put in some, running off the 12 volt, some additional USB and USB-C outlets throughout the camper, as well as also install a fan in the inverter area that will vent out. So I'm going to just take advantage of the situation and do some things I want to do anyway. So that's it. That's my update for this. Overall, I'm going to say Brinkley Service, excellent. Had it not been for the hot water heater thing, I think it would be a 10 out of 10. The hot water heater is kind of a big deal. It cost me $400. So I'm going to have to subtract off that. I'm going to say 8 out of 10. Great job, Brinkley. I know that, you know, nothing's perfect. Things can get missed. The way y'all treated me was excellent. Definitely would recommend Brinkley. but getting your camper back when it went in with our working hot water here and coming out without one, got to subtract some points for that. So 8 out of 10.